What if living longer and staying strong after 60 wasn't about medicine, but about fruit? Yes, something as simple, natural, and delicious as what's already in your kitchen. You see, aging doesn't have to mean weakness, brain fog, or daily aches. In fact, many seniors in Europe and America are now turning back to what our ancestors trusted: natural nutrition. And some fruits, just a handful of them, are proven by science to fight inflammation, protect memory, and even reduce your risk of heart disease. In today's episode of Elderly Reflections, we'll dive deep into 5 essential fruits every senior should eat daily to boost longevity and maintain vibrant health after 60. Not just recommendations, we'll share real-life stories of older adults who made small changes and saw powerful results. Because when it comes to senior health, we don't need another diet trend. We need wisdom, the kind of elderly wisdom that's backed by research and lived experience. If you're looking for simple habits that bring lasting strength, sharper thinking, and deeper peace, this video is for you. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Reflections and turn on the bell. That way, you'll never miss out on our weekly inspiration, life lessons from the elderly, and practical health insights. After age 60, the body begins to speak in quieter ways. Stiff joints, slower memory recall, rising blood pressure, all of these are whispers, not shouts, warning us that change is happening deep inside. But what's remarkable is that many seniors in the US and Europe are beginning to answer these whispers, not with fear, but with food. Not with pills, but with presence. And often, it starts with a fruit as humble and familiar as the blueberry. Known to researchers and senior nutritionists as brainberries, blueberries contain potent antioxidants, particularly anthocyanins, that work like tiny shields inside your brain. These compounds have been shown to reduce oxidative stress, improve communication between neurons, and slow the kind of age-related decline that can lead to dementia and memory loss. A long-term study from Harvard, published in the Annals of Neurology, tracked over 16,000 older adults for 2 decades. Their findings? Seniors who consumed blueberries at least once a week had brains that aged more slowly, on average, by more than 2.5 years. That's not a small detail. In a world where the fear of forgetfulness often overshadows the joys of aging, this tiny blue fruit offers hope. It's not just science, it's daily life. Consider the story of Robert Jenkins, a 74-year-old retired literature teacher from New Hampshire. Once known for quoting poetry off the top of his head, Robert found himself increasingly lost for words. "I forgot the name of my neighbor's dog," he admitted, "and I've known that dog for 10 years. After visiting his physician, who found no signs of early Alzheimer's but noticed subtle signs of decline, Robert was told something surprising. "Before we look at prescriptions, let's look at your plate." His daughter stepped in. Every Sunday, she brought fresh blueberries, sometimes wild, sometimes store-bought, and every morning, Robert added them to his oatmeal. At first, nothing seemed different. But then, 3 months in, he realized he hadn't missed his pillbox alarm once in 2 weeks. His crossword puzzles went smoother. More than once, he recalled old student names he thought he'd forgotten. "It's not a miracle," Robert says now, smiling, "but it's as close to a small miracle as I've ever had in a breakfast bowl." And he's not alone. Thousands of seniors across North America are quietly returning to simple routines: blueberries in yogurt, smoothies, pancakes, or just a handful after lunch. And while the fruit won't erase every challenge of aging, it offers a kind of daily renewal. As we often say on Elderly Reflections, it's not about turning back time. It's about walking forward with intention, strength, and a little help from nature. If blueberries guard the brain, then avocados protect the heart. And that's not just a metaphor. While technically a fruit, avocados are often mistaken for vegetables, perhaps because of their creamy texture and savory taste. But don't be fooled. An avocado is among the most complete heart-protecting foods available, particularly for seniors dealing with high cholesterol, hypertension, or fatigue. Rich in monounsaturated fats, good fats that help clean out bad cholesterol, Avocados also provide nearly 20 essential nutrients, including potassium, fiber, and magnesium. This combination helps regulate blood pressure, support heart rhythm, and reduce inflammation in blood vessels. A major study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association followed over 100,000 people for 30 years. They found that those who consumed avocados twice per week had a 21% lower risk of heart disease. That's not from medication, that's from fruit. But again, the numbers are only half the story. Let me take you to Bath, England, where 81-year-old Eleanor Taylor has lived most of her life. A retired librarian, Eleanor has always been sharp, elegant, and kind. But in recent years, her mornings had become difficult. Her blood pressure spiked unpredictably, her knees stiffened, and her energy seemed to vanish before noon. Doctors suggested medication adjustments, but her granddaughter, Olivia, a young nutritionist living in London, had a different idea. She arrived one Saturday morning with a bag of groceries. Inside, 2 perfectly ripe avocados, some rye bread, and lemon. "We're trying something new, Gran," she said. That Monday, Eleanor began her new ritual. Half an avocado on toast, drizzled with lemon and a pinch of sea salt. 2 weeks in, she said she noticed her hands weren't trembling when pouring tea. A month later, her systolic pressure had dropped by 10 points. But what changed even more was her spirit. "I feel less foggy," she told her GP, "and for some reason, I don't dread mornings anymore." By the 3rd month, she was walking her terrier, Mabel, twice as far as before, without joint pain, without fatigue. "It's not just the avocado," Eleanor said once in an interview with a local senior center. "It's that someone took the time to remind me I'm still worth the effort." Avocados also provide essential support to the eyes and immune system, thanks to lutein and zeaxanthin, which guard against macular degeneration, a leading cause of blindness in the elderly. Their soft texture makes them ideal for seniors with dental issues or swallowing problems, and their natural fats help absorb vitamins like A, D, and E, nutrients crucial for skin, bones, and nerves. Many older adults fear meals becoming bland, burdensome, or restrictive. But an avocado is joyfully versatile. It can be mashed onto toast, blended into a soft green smoothie with banana and spinach, or even added to soup for creaminess without dairy. More importantly, it fits beautifully into a senior's daily rhythm without causing spikes in sugar or digestive discomfort. What unites blueberries and avocados, despite their different flavors and colors, is their quiet strength. They don't demand transformation overnight. They don't come with side effects, warning labels, or expiration dates of dependency. They offer consistency. They offer cellular support. And most of all, they offer the kind of small, faithful help that fits into the rhythm of life after 65. For the seniors we've met on Elderly Reflections, from coastal California to the quiet hills of Yorkshire, these 2 fruits are more than ingredients. They are gestures of self-respect. They say, "I still deserve to feel good. I still deserve clarity, circulation, and comfort." That message, perhaps more than any vitamin, is what inspires healing. In the next part, we'll continue with 2 more fruits, equally powerful, equally supported by science, and equally connected to the real-life reflections of older adults who dared to change one thing and got their lives back in return. Among all the changes that come with aging, circulation is one of the most silent and yet dangerous shifts. Weak blood flow isn't just about cold fingers or slower healing. It affects everything: the brain, the heart, the joints, and even the ability to stay on your feet confidently. And that's where the ruby red power of pomegranates comes in. This fruit, revered for centuries from the Mediterranean to the Middle East, is loaded with polyphenols, plant compounds that support artery health, reduce inflammation, and protect the inner lining of blood vessels. Unlike other fruits that offer 1 or 2 major benefits, pomegranates affect the entire cardiovascular system. In recent studies published by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, pomegranate juice has been shown to improve arterial elasticity, especially in seniors with plaque buildup. Regular consumption is linked to lower systolic blood pressure, reduced LDL oxidation, and even better blood oxygen delivery to muscles, a critical factor in fall prevention and mobility for those over 70. What makes this fruit so unique is that it doesn't just slow damage, it reverses early-stage vascular aging. That's not a theory. It's happening right now in homes across Europe and the US. Take Dorothy Lang, an 80-year-old retired violinist living in Vienna. For years, she had played Bach with ease, her hands dancing along the strings with elegance. But around 76, something changed. Her fingers stiffened. She felt breathless after walking just one block. Her doctor explained circulation was weakening, likely due to decades of mild but ignored hypertension. She was devastated, not because she feared illness, but because she feared losing music. "I didn't want to go quietly," Dorothy said, "not when I still had music inside me." One day, her neighbor, also in her 70s and full of old-world wisdom, handed her a bottle of homemade pomegranate concentrate. 3 tablespoons a day before noon, she said. Dorothy began the ritual. It wasn't immediate, but after 6 weeks, something changed. Her fingertips felt warmer. Her walks to the park no longer required rests. By the end of 3 months, she had returned to her small string quartet, playing second violin. "I still take breaks," she smiles, "but I no longer feel like I'm fading." Pomegranates didn't make her younger, but they restored her flow, her literal blood flow, and her flow of life. For seniors, especially those taking medications, pomegranates are safe, gentle, and flexible. Fresh seeds sprinkled into yogurt or salad, or a small glass of unsweetened pomegranate juice in the morning, are often enough to make a difference. Some even freeze the seeds into ice cubes and add them to water, a simple trick that turns hydration into a habit. At Elderly Reflections, we often say that small rituals, done daily, form the roots of lifelong independence. And few rituals are as delicious or as powerful as pomegranate. If blood flow is the foundation, then digestion is the engine. As we age, our digestive efficiency drops, nutrient absorption decreases, bloating, constipation, and indigestion become more common. What used to be a simple meal can now lead to discomfort that lasts for hours. That's why our 4th fruit, papaya, deserves attention. This tropical fruit, often underestimated, contains papain, a natural enzyme that breaks down protein and eases the burden on the stomach and small intestine. But papaya is more than a digestive aid. It's also rich in vitamin C, beta-carotene, and folate, all of which are essential for a strong immune system, healthy skin, and cellular repair. In research conducted by the University of Illinois, seniors who included papaya in their diet 3 times a week reported better stool regularity, fewer acid reflux episodes, and even milder symptoms of arthritis, likely due to the fruit's anti-inflammatory compounds. It's especially helpful for those who take multiple medications, since many drugs, including blood pressure or pain meds, slow digestion. And yet papaya remains soft, naturally sweet, and incredibly easy to prepare. Consider the story of Margaret Devlin, 76, from Pensacola, Florida. After a routine gallbladder surgery at 70, Margaret struggled with chronic bloating and irregularity. "It got to the point where I dreaded meals," she confessed. Her appetite dropped, her weight did too, but her energy, that vanished. Her son, a nurse practitioner, noticed the decline and asked a simple question. "Mom, when was the last time food made you feel good?" They worked together to design a softer, senior-friendly diet, and papaya became a staple. Every afternoon, Margaret had half a papaya, scooped fresh with a squeeze of lime. The result was slow but certain. After 2 weeks, her appetite returned. After a month, her stomach pain had eased, and after 3 months, her energy was back. "I still take my meds," she says, "but now they have something to work with." She laughs about it now, calling her papaya routine her 3 p.m. reset. Papaya is especially useful for seniors with missing teeth, swallowing difficulties, or fatigue after meals. It requires no cooking, no seasoning, no chewing, just a spoon. And for those with blood sugar concerns, the fruit's low glycemic index means it won't cause spikes. In fact, the fiber helps stabilize blood sugar levels and feeds the gut's beneficial bacteria, a process that affects not just digestion, but mood, clarity, and immunity. When we listen closely to the body, especially in the quiet years after 65, we start to understand that healing is not about extremes. It's about returning to what works. Pomegranates return strength to the bloodstream, and papayas return calm to the gut. One flows, one absorbs, and together, they become part of a larger pattern, restoring the body's internal conversation, cell by cell, bite by bite. In the final part of this video, we'll explore the final fruit on our list, one that seems simple, even boring, yet holds some of the most underestimated power for reducing inflammation, protecting the gut, and improving senior resilience. Alongside it, we'll also share the practical ways these fruits come together in daily habits, and what seniors from Italy to Iowa have learned about turning food into a form of peace. Of all the fruits we've explored, there's one that often gets overlooked, perhaps because it's always been there: the apple. Unlike its colorful counterparts, the apple doesn't draw attention to itself. There's no exotic appeal, no trendy reputation. It simply exists, dependable, accessible, familiar. But as it turns out, sometimes the most familiar things hold the deepest power. For seniors over 60, especially those living alone or managing chronic health conditions, the apple is not just a fruit, it's a foundation, a quiet, daily act of self-respect, one that restores the body from within and the spirit from the outside in. Apples are rich in soluble fiber, particularly pectin, which plays a key role in stabilizing blood sugar, lowering bad cholesterol, LDL, and nurturing a healthy digestive system. Unlike other fruits, the fiber in apples doesn't just pass through the body, it feeds it. It acts as a prebiotic, nourishing the beneficial bacteria in the gut. And gut health, as we now understand through modern science, isn't just about digestion. It's connected to immunity, mental clarity, mood stability, and even inflammation control. For older adults, who often experience low-grade chronic inflammation, whether from arthritis, cardiovascular strain, or years of accumulated stress, apples serve as a gentle daily tool to manage these burdens. But the science, as always, only tells one side of the story. The other side is where our hearts live. And that's where we meet Henry, a soft-spoken 82-year-old man from Des Moines, Iowa. Henry is a veteran, a widower, and a man who, by his own words, never expected to live this long. After his wife died, Henry drifted into quiet neglect. Meals were skipped or replaced with toast. He stopped gardening. He rarely left the house. "I didn't feel sad," he told us once. "I just felt flat." His hands ached. His sleep was shallow. His belly was always unsettled. But most of all, he said he felt like a fog had settled between himself and the world. It's like watching your life from behind a dirty window. What changed wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a program or a diagnosis. It was an invitation, a volunteer at the senior center who asked if he'd be willing to eat one apple a day, peeled or unpeeled, however he liked. "It's not going to fix everything," she told him. "But it's a start. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up for yourself, a little bit, every day." Henry hesitated, but he agreed. He started small: Gala apples, sliced thin, sometimes warmed with cinnamon. After a few days, he noticed his digestion was more regular. 2 weeks later, his stomach didn't feel as tight. After a month, he realized he hadn't taken an antacid in 3 weeks. But the biggest change came quietly. One morning, he walked to the mailbox and stopped to smell a neighbor's lilac bush, something he hadn't done in years. Another day, he cleaned his windows. "I wanted to see the sky again," he told us, a tear caught in his throat. And when we asked him what changed, he shrugged. "It was the apple, I guess, not the fruit. The fact that I chose to eat it, that I still had enough in me to try." That's what we mean at Elderly Reflections when we talk about elderly wisdom. It's not about knowledge from books or clinics. It's the quiet knowing that comes from living through decades of grief and beauty, of war and peace, of dinners shared and dinners skipped. It's the courage to make one small promise to yourself each morning and keep it. That's what apples give you. Not just fiber or antioxidants. They give you a reason to sit down at the table again, even if you're the only one there. They give you a moment to chew, to breathe, to choose presence over autopilot. Apples are especially valuable because they're accessible, they're affordable. They don't spoil easily. They can be eaten raw or cooked, mashed or stewed, whole or sliced. For seniors with dentures, they can be baked soft. For those managing diabetes, their fiber slows sugar absorption. For anyone struggling with appetite loss, apples offer a gentle sweetness without overwhelming the palate. And for those living alone, the act of slicing an apple, of preparing it for oneself, becomes more than nourishment. It becomes ritual. It says, I still matter. And here's the most remarkable truth we've discovered from the seniors we speak with across Europe and North America. Healing is often invisible at first. You don't wake up feeling younger. You don't reverse aging overnight. But you stabilize. You breathe deeper, you move easier, you begin to participate in your own life again. And that participation, that daily showing up, creates a kind of strength that no supplement can replicate. Each of the fruits we've explored, from the antioxidant-rich berries to the heart-soothing avocado, from the artery-cleansing pomegranate to the enzyme-packed papaya, they all have scientific merit. But more importantly, they carry emotional weight. They invite seniors back into a relationship with their body, a relationship that too often gets neglected or handed over to prescriptions. We don't deny the importance of medicine, but here's what we've learned. When a senior eats a piece of fruit with care, they're not just feeding their body, they're restoring dignity. They're pushing back against invisibility. They're reminding the world and themselves that their health still matters, that they are still worth caring for, even by their own hands. In our experience, those who build a small habit around fruit tend to build other habits too. A daily walk after breakfast, a few more minutes of stretching, a phone call to a friend they haven't spoken to in years. Fruit becomes a seed, not just biologically, but metaphorically. A seed of energy, a seed of possibility, a seed of independence. So if you're watching this video, maybe from your kitchen, or while sitting in your favorite chair, or maybe even in a care facility, let this be your quiet invitation. You don't have to start big, you don't have to overhaul everything. Just begin. One fruit, one bowl, one gentle act of kindness toward yourself. That's how strength returns. That's how clarity sharpens. That's how joy finds its way back in. Not with noise, not with drama, but with one peaceful, deliberate bite. So maybe today, it's just an apple, or a handful of blueberries. Maybe it's the first time you've thought about your health not with worry, but with quiet curiosity. Wherever you are on your journey, whether you're 61 or 91, know this. You are still building something, not just a body, but a life. And every small act of care is a brick in that foundation. At Elderly Reflections, we believe in habits rooted in love, not fear, in nourishment that feeds both the body and the soul, and in the quiet power of seniors reclaiming their health, their energy, and their voice. If you found even one idea helpful today, we'd be honored if you'd like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone you care about. We release weekly reflections, real-life stories, and timeless elderly wisdom to support your journey forward. And now, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? And which fruit will you start with? Let us know below. Your voice matters here.